Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon on the East Coast. I know some of you are still not into the afternoon hours yet on the West Coast. We are about to start. I'm seeing people popping in here, but we are about to start the closing session, session 9 of Leadership Training 2021. And I'm telling you what, we are going to close it out with some really nice sessions for you. We have three different sessions today, two by the lovely Jessica Daly and one chair yoga for anyone, any level. It's just a good stretch. You can do it with your kids, by Barbie Nunnally, who's going to be fabulous. And I'm just looking at people getting in. I'm going to move to the next slide and give a few items that you need to know. So we're in a webinar, and that means you guys are muted, and so you don't have a choice to unmute yourself really. But when we get to at any point during Jessica's presentation, there is the chat box for Q&A, and there's also Q&A for Q&A. So if you have questions, you can type them into the Q&A box, and we will ask them of her at the right times. Or if you post into the chat box, that is fine too. If you can't hear, as Andrea says, hopefully you can read the slide, and you just need to check the sound on your personal computer and make sure your speakers are on, everything's coming out okay. That is typically the issue. That's true. Please do use the chat box or the Q&A. And so because it's a webinar, you see something called Q&A in your control panel, and Q&A is a great place to type in questions. It lets us see that it's a question more easily versus a comment, and that's very helpful when we're trying to ask the speaker questions. And again, questions will be answered as we can. We do encourage questions and discussion. We want this to be participative and interactive. So I am going to turn it over to Jessica Daly and let her tell you a little bit about herself and the things she is going to talk about today. Jessica?
Well, thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to be with you, and very happy that it is the ending out of your sessions. And this is just really a time for you to focus on yourself. And so I hope that that's what we do during this time. I'm going to give you some resources that you can use. So hopefully this is going to be a really encouraging, hopeful time together. Don't fret, everybody, but we're going to just touch kind of the surface on each of these. Let me just say, again, I have full 20-minute webinars that are recorded on all of these topics. So if you want to know more or learn more, and you can do it at your pace 24/7 whenever you want to, you can definitely email me and ask for those. I can send you the direct links. But we're just really going to talk in this section about taking care of ourselves, maybe some risky behaviors that we're doing, how sleep affects every part of our being, and also managing stress. And definitely the sleep and the managing stress, I will say, definitely are ones that you would want to listen to those whole sections. So I'm calling this the heart of self-care. And I want you to take a look at this illustration. I thought it was great. It just really encompassed what self-care is supposed to be. Self-care is not just going to the doctor. Self-care is not just having a checkup. It has a lot of different components. Self-care starts with our minds. I say it's a mental, it's a physical, and a spiritual situation for us. It's our whole being if we're taking care of ourselves. So, taking a look at this wheel here, if any of these are areas that you're struggling with, it really could benefit your self-care. It could benefit you to work on these areas. And I know just taking a look at this, for me, asking for help is probably one of my hardest things ever, or asking for what I need, because I'm so busy taking care of other people. So you've got to really take a look and see which one fits you. So this is just self-care in 5 minutes. It's really not hard. And I would love if you would just pick a few of these to make sure you do each day. Making your bed. That sounds so silly to a lot of people, because I'm a bed maker. I want to make my bed because here's why. I love to crawl into a bed that's been made. It just feels good. I think that's why we love crawling in a bed at a hotel. But little things like that. Drinking enough water, oh my gosh, being hydrated, maybe light a candle or do some incense or do essential oils. You know, smell controls a lot of our brain, and it just brings us to, it can bring us to a really relaxed or good place. Eating a snack. Sometimes we go all day long, we're not eating. Our bodies need fuel every 2.5 to 3 hours, not a candy bar, even though they're so good. But we need a nutritious snack, something of substance in our bodies every 2.5 to 3 hours. Make plans, have something to look forward to. Tomorrow and Wednesday, I'll tell you this, I'm really excited about it because I get to benefit from my daughter's gift. But she graduated high school this year. And we were talking about, what do you want to do? You know, what do you want to do special? And she has a new puppy. Well, he's 6 months old. We can't leave him for a long period of time. We found a little doggy daycare we can take him to that's overnight. And she said, Mom, I would really love you, me, and Dad to just go and have an overnight at Disney. We never do that. We only did that when we lived away and we came on vacation. And I'd love one night. So we are doing that tomorrow and Wednesday. We're spending tomorrow night away. So that's something we can look forward to. Listening to music. It has everything to do with your mindset. Declutter, clean up some spaces. Do you know if you just clean out a closet, it actually makes you feel better. It's not something that you open the door and you're scared it's going to crash down on you. That causes stress. Watch YouTube. And I am encouraging this. Watch things you love. You know, there are people that do all kinds of things all over the world, and you can watch their YouTube. That's really become TV of today. Doodle. If you're a drawer, you like to paint, you're artistic, and then write affirmations. Write down your thoughts. Write down some positive things. Okay, this is a resource I want to tell you about. It's the National Institute of Health. So it's NIH, and this is actually a part of the Department of Health and Human Services. This is free online information, but they have something called an emotional wellness toolkit, and I love it. I encourage you to go there. Just go to the National Institute of Health, type in emotional wellness, and this is a great, great resource. So they break it down for you. You can learn more about each of these things, but they talk about how to, you know, brighten your outlook, reduce stress, get good sleep, cope with loss, because loss and negative things in our lives, they're reality. They're going to happen to us. And if you are, you know, in this heart health journey, if you're a caregiver with someone that's a heart patient, you know it can take a toll on you. I've been doing this for 15 years now, and I have some dark days. So I have to deal with these things, with these setbacks or different things that happen. There is strength and connection. You've got to connect yourself to good people. And that's what Mended Hearts is all about. You know, this is what it's about, is connecting with other people. We need that as humans. And then just being mindful of what's going on around us. And again, in the emotional wellness toolkit, I wanted to show you this. They break down each of these areas with websites you can go visit. And this is all going to be safe and up-to-date information. So this is just a great place. All right, what are our sources of stress? And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want you to take a look at the different levels or different types of stress. So number one, we have routine stress every day. That's pressures of work, family, other daily responsibilities. Things go wrong. We have a flat tire. You know, we spill coffee on ourselves. We have that every day. But then we've got stress brought on by a sudden negative change. This could be a life-altering situation. So things like divorce, losing a job, illness. Here we are, we're with illness. So these are things that are big. And then we have the next level, which is called traumatic stress. And this is when you're in danger of being seriously hurt or killed. And we associate this with post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. Let me just say, for a lot of heart patients and heart caregivers, this is a very real thing. We deal with this in our home. We've had some very frightening, life-threatening situations. My husband, Brian, loves to say to other heart patients, they like exchange war stories. And he's like, oh yeah, my pacemaker saved me 4 times. And they're like, oh, mine saved me 5. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, but they're relating because this is a traumatic, life-threatening situation that they were in. And it does cause PTSD. It's very real. And so that is something I want you to think about, that counseling can be fantastic for. Talk to your physician about this, if this is something that you deal with. It is normal. Just want you to know that. Here are 5 tips you can do to relieve stress every day. Number 1, eat better food. Eat plants and vegetables, or plants are vegetables. Eat plants, eat vegetables and fruits. Exercise, move your body to the extent that you can physically. Okay, everybody has limitations. My husband has a lot of limitations, but there are certain things he's able to do. And again, if you've never done cardiac rehab, phenomenal. My husband's done it twice. And that is a great way to learn what you can do, what safe exercise looks like. Drink lots of water. We talked about getting at least 7 hours of sleep. And then look, make a list. I love making a list and marking things off. It just gives me this sense of accomplishment. It just gives me a good feeling to do that. So what are some negative reactions to stress? Do you know that stress can kill you? And I'm just telling you, that's the truth. It can. It can cause pain in our bodies. It causes us often to overeat. It causes us to be angry and have emotional instability that can affect our relationships. It also makes us sometimes cry even more than normal. Now, I'm a crier, so I cry happy, sad, mad, but this might be that you see that it's hard for you to control that, or it's more than normal. It can cause depression, negativity. So everything is bad. Everything, your glass is half empty. That's no way to live. And then also smoking. If you quit smoking long ago, a lot of people feel that this is a great way to deal with stress by smoking. So we don't want those negative things to happen. So what are some positive reactions? Yes, we can have positive reactions to stress. The first one is just being aware. Where are you? What's going on? Look at the big picture. Is what went wrong today going to affect us next week? Is it anything we can control? So just being mindful and looking at the situation instead of only reacting. I want you to breathe. There are some amazing breathing exercises you can do that just center you down, that control anxiety, that keep you from going into a full-blown anxiety attack or panic attack. Breathing works. Why do you think they tell people in Lamaze, women having babies, to have a certain type of way to breathe? Because it gets you through that very stressful physical situation. You might have a mantra. You might have a saying or a scripture or a quote or something that you can say to yourselves to just get yourself back focused. Maintaining perspective. Again, I talked about that big picture. And then avoid perfectionism. And I'm talking to myself as I talk to you. None of us are perfect. We do nothing perfect, and we never will. So if we strive for perfection, we'll always be disappointed. Now, am I not saying do your best? Absolutely. But no one's perfect. And so I want you to get that through. I work on it every day. It can't be perfect. And then we have expectations. We have expectations of other people. We have expectations of ourselves. And sometimes they are dangerous. Sometimes they're unrealistic. So I want you to think about what your expectations are of others. And guess what I had to kind of come to grips with probably like 6 to 8 months ago? I kind of had like one of these aha moments. And I said, okay, my issue with a lot of my family and friends is I expect them to do for me everything I do for them. It's not going to happen. They're different people. They're not all Jessica. They're Judy and Charles and Maxine and Susan and Van. They're not me. That's why I love them, because they're not me. But I'm expecting them to react like I do. I'm expecting them to do for me the things I do for them. And that is wrong. That's unrealistic. You've got to be careful with that. It turns into anger and resentment. And we also have to just put it in perspective. If someone else doesn't do what we wish they would or which we want them to do, that's not us. We've got to release that. And I'm really working on that. I promise I am. And then know your triggers. We all have triggers. And so I want you to think about what makes you angry, tense, worried. Can you control it? Can you not? Can you avoid some of it? Sometimes we could avoid some of the situations that we get ourselves into. So just keep that in mind. And then control. What can I control? What can I not? You know, I can't control what other people do, period. I can tell them what I think, I can influence them, I can encourage them, but I can't make them do what I want them to do. And so, you know, sometimes stress are things we can work on. If we're stressful at bedtime, stop watching the nightly news. I'm serious. It makes you so stressed, brings you down. Other times it might be that we can't escape it. Like you can't escape heart disease. You can't escape being a caregiver, but you can work on your reaction when things go awry or things aren't going the way you wish they were. Okay, so just a couple tips. I got to show you these fast. You can manage stress. It's coming. We can manage it. And so these are just a few ways you can see which one of these fits you, which one works for you. I am going to say that no matter what you pick on this, pick some things you enjoy doing, pick some things where you can release some tension, pick some things that you can connect with people. And then I encourage going to a counselor, a therapist, or a life coach. Absolutely. Why not? We go to the doctor for our bodies. Why can't we go for our mind? There is nothing wrong with it. I've done it tons of times. I'm a huge advocate. All right, and I love this. Remember self-care. S is for serenity. You need some peaceful moments, even if it's 5 minutes. E is for exercise. You've got to move your body. It's not just about losing weight. Our bodies need to move. L is for love. Communicate with other people. Have people that you can get in touch with really quickly when something is going wrong or you need that encouragement. And then F is for food. Do you know that food you eat can increase your stress and they can lower your stress? So if you want more about that, make sure you contact me. And then good sleep. We're finishing out with this. It improves our mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health. And where are we? Most of us are probably in this adult or older adult range. The least amount we should get every night is 7 hours. And we should get at least 7. We'd love to see you get 9, 8 or 9 at the most. And why don't we sleep? Why don't we get the sleep we need? Our choice. Our choice. We can blame it all day long on everything else, but at the end of the day, we decide how much sleep we get. It can be our occupation. It can be medical conditions. I get that because I sleep with a heart patient. He has trouble getting to sleep. And if he wakes up, he can't get back to sleep. So I get it. It's real. And then medications we take. Make sure you're not taking any meds at night that could be keeping you up. And then you could have sleep disorders like sleep apnea. My husband has sleep apnea. He wears a CPAP machine and all is well in the world. And last thing, turn those phones off. Don't have them on in that dark bedroom. Guess what? The color, the blue light that comes out of your phone or your laptop, it actually stops the release of melatonin in your brain, which is a hormone that tells your brain it's time to go to sleep. So you're actually keeping yourself awake. The other thing they give off is something called EMR, and that's actually electromagnetic radiation, and that also stops the release of melatonin. So that may be why you're not going to sleep. And what are the consequences? And we understand that not getting enough sleep can open us up to being more at risk for these diseases. Now, of course, cardiovascular is already a part of our lives, or we wouldn't be associated with mended hearts, but we also don't want diabetes, stroke, obesity, or depression. We don't want any of these if we can help it. And then associated risks. We know that throughout the night, your body is rejuvenating. Things are repairing in your body, and you release hormones during your sleep that do all these things. And it can also affect your weight. So we want to be sleeping enough. And then how does it affect stress? Sleep and stress are kind of a double-edged sword. Poor sleep can often connect with stress. And when we're stressed out, sometimes we don't sleep. So we need that sleep in order to reduce that stress. And how can you get that good night's sleep? Well, this is just a couple ways. Again, I've got a whole webinar on it, but you need to make sure some essential things are taking place. Where you're sleeping, the type of mattress, electronics off 30 minutes before. Are you exercising? Your diet? Are you consuming alcohol before bed? What are some things that you're doing? What are some things you can try in order to get a better night's sleep? And what to do if you can't sleep. And there's a lot on that as well. You really want to keep what's called a sleep journal for about 10 days, and you want to go talk to your doctor about this. Yes, if you can't sleep well, you need to let your doctor know, because there's a lot that they could do to help you. And then quick steps. One of the first things I tell you is keep a consistent schedule if you can. Make your bedroom a really tranquil place where only, I tell people this and I don't tell them to embarrass them, but you need to make your bedroom only for sex and sleep. You don't need to be working in there, eating in there, entertaining, and that you don't need to have all this stuff going on. Your brain needs to know that this is what happens in this space. And then, of course, if you want any information about sleep apnea, you think that you could have it or your partner could have it, please let your doctor know immediately. This could be a life-threatening situation, and I can give you tons of info on that too. So for this section, these are just, again, some of the same sources, the CDC and the NIH, Medline Plus I talked about already, but I also went to the American Academy for Sleep Medicine and also Harvard Health Publishing. So I got all my info there, and those are all places that you can go yourself and get free information. And again, we talked about Medline Plus already, and here is information just on our library. And again, my email. So definitely email me about any of these things. I know we've flown through them pretty quickly, and I can send you online links, links to the webinars I have recorded. So that is all for me. Jody, I don't know if there's any questions.
Yes, I think Mandy said there are a few questions. She's just gonna read them. We're just gonna do a couple and then move on to our chair yoga. This was so informative. I'll tell you what, I learned so many things, and I've studied this stuff a lot, but it was just, I loved your graphics. So Mandy, what questions do we have?
So Jessica, Lee's wondering, when you're traveling in the airport, some quick tips for people to stay clean, feeling healthy, anything?
Yeah, so I would just say keeping some either like sanitation little wipes, or either lots of, be equipped and have your sanitizer ready. Like sometimes you can put it hanging on your bag or your purse so that it's really accessible to you. You're not having to dig through all your stuff with dirty hands to get the sanitizer. If you're in an airport and you think you're going to be close to people, you may still want to wear a mask, and distance as much as possible from people. But I know a lot of people aren't doing that anymore. So really, I would say the sanitizer or the wipes would be good. And then also making sure that if you set things down, that you wipe them off. If you set your phone down on a chair, or you set your water bottle down, making sure you're doing that too. So those would be the things I would suggest.
Thanks. Sharon asks, my friend and I were both fully vaccinated. However, she contacted COVID-19 from her nursing home she lives in. Is it safe to see her in person at this point?
If it were me, I would probably wait until they felt like it was, the duration of things. I know we said earlier on, they were saying 14 days. But I think now they're saying that if, a person doesn't have fever, they don't have any of the symptoms anymore, you're safe. But I would probably hold off on visiting her while she still had symptoms.
Okay. And is there mental health available through Florida Blues? I don't know what Florida Blues is.
Well, Florida Blue, I think, is an insurance company that. Okay. So yes, so most insurance companies, you would have to contact them, and ask what their services are, what do they include with their coverage, and every insurance company is different. People ask me all the time, does my insurance cover going to a counselor or a therapist? And you don't know until you call them specifically and let them know. And they also may have certain providers in an area that they would cover. So that's good to know too.
Thanks, Jessica. And just a quick note to anyone who's on the phone, you reached out initially to us to welcome your services to any chapter or group that needed you. So I put that in the chat. Is that still true, that you're willing to speak to our chapters and groups as a guest presenter?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. As long as they've got a way to pipe me in, whether it's
through Zoom.
We've done all kinds of different things, but yeah, I would love to do that. And we can do it on whatever topics relevant to them. Whatever their members would like to hear more about.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I'm so tickled. Like we were like sending messages to each other like, oh, we got to remember this. We got to get this graphic. And, it really is helpful to have some of these things seem very basic, but they're not. They're not things you think about. And so we're just all thrilled to have you here. And
Well,
we will be asking you to come back and talk more to our members as well. Thank you so much.
Well, you are welcome, and thank you guys for having me.